over the last 3 years now, we've collected over 30,000 presents or food items for those in need at Christmas time.
Wow. Is that something that smaller business owners could do as well? You know, looking after the community, trying to give back to the community?
Yeah, I think absolutely is the short answer. And I think smaller business owners, if they want to look at probably real estate is a good example of where it works really well.
I'm sure you've played a lot of golf with the gents. Who's the best golfer?
At the Blues?
Yeah. But I think it's time to take your shirt off. All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of About the Green. We are down at the beautiful North Shore Golf Club, and we have a very special guest, the commercial manager of the Blues Rugby, Todd Hewitt, who is just hitting his shot right now. We're going to talk about some partnerships, how to build your brand, what the Blues are doing in the background, and the structure behind it, and see how his golf game goes. So enjoy. Mate, just wanted to start out with a bit of an understanding of your background. We were sort of talking before we had a coffee. You were managing the NRL before over in Australia. Now you're at the Blues. Where did that sort of all stem from?
I was lucky enough, in my 20s, kind of worked in marketing and communications, and then I played a couple of seasons of cricket in the UK, and when I was coming back from the last one, a role popped up at a business called Gemba, which is a sports marketing agency, and I was kind of like, this is my dream gig, have a crack at it, and fortunately it came off, and that kind of started the journey. And so they work with, brands around investment in sports and entertainment. They work with rights holders, like the Blues, and others, and also do research around sports. So I worked for them for a few years in New Zealand and Australia, and it gave me a really good grounding of, I guess, the sports landscape and how to invest and leverage sport and entertainment. And then ended up at the NRL for 3 or 4 years as GM of commercial there, which was great. Like, obviously, it's a big league in Australia. There was exciting things that happened there during that time, like introduction of Magic Round, introduction of Women's Rugby League and NRLW, and a few other initiatives. NRL Digital as well, new platform build there. So, yeah, that was great. And then ended up at the Blues.
Oh, I crushed it, mate. That was lovely.
Shot.
What sort of encouraged you to take the position at the Blues?
Look, I think coming back from Aussie to NZ was largely a move driven by family. And then in coming back, I guess when you come from a league like the NRL, you want to make sure that you're stepping into an environment which is, professional, where there's opportunity to improve things, and there's opportunity for growth. So in New Zealand, obviously, there's not, a heap of sports rights holders at that really professional level. I think in Australia, there's over 50 professional sports clubs. In New Zealand, it's probably more like a handful,
yes.
or maybe 2 handfuls. So
yeah,
there's not a heap of options. But I'm from Auckland. I've always loved the Blues as a fan, and there was good leadership, good board in place, and so I felt it was the right time to give it a crack.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you've done amazing things for it. You've been there for how long now?
5 years now. Yeah,
Goes
5
quick,
next month. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah. It
goes so
does go
quick.
quick. Yeah. It does, but at the same time, it does actually feel like I've been there 5 years in terms of, some of the things that we've been able to achieve and setting the club up in the right direction. So it's been cool.
Cool. Appreciate it, mate. Let's get those shots.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, so everybody knows the Blues.
I hope so.
The best rugby team. But What sort of makes them tick these days? Has it changed much since you've been there?
Oh, look, I think one of the things we've worked really hard on is having a strong understanding of what the club represents, and working really hard on, our purpose and vision for the club, and also that connection through to the community. So in terms of what makes us tick, I think, that's been a big part of it in terms of the great work that we've done around the Blues Charitable Trust. And a guy by the name of Rob Woodley has done an excellent job there in terms of seeing over 3,000 kids over the last few years through a leadership program.
Wow.
So that kind of using the Blues brand to give back to the community. Other campaigns like Fill the Blue Bus, where...
That's a good one.
Yeah, we've collected over the last 3 years now, we've collected over 30,000 presents or food items for those in need at Christmas time.
Wow.
Just things like that. I think for a lot of our players, the connection to community giving back is really important. So, and it also means they're able to connect with fans, connect with people from the region, and hopefully then when they're playing, they feel like they're not just playing for themselves and families, but also like the broader fan base and community. So that's probably the biggest focus or change over the last kind of 3-5 years.
Yeah. And so that's coming from a very large brand and reputable brand. Is that something that smaller business owners could do as well? Looking after the community, trying to give back to the community. Would you have any tips around that?
Yeah, I think absolutely is the short answer. And I think smaller business owners, if they want to look at probably real estate as a good example of where it works really well, like quite often you see, the local agent associated with the golf club or the tennis club or the footy club, whatever it might be. And I think it's about showing, that you care, that you're supporting your local community, but ultimately also that allows connections. And we all know if you have connections and greater relationships, then people, will support you as well. So I think that's probably the learning there, is that it's about giving back, but it's also about building that connection with the community.
Yeah, I think it's super important.
Yeah.
Just to build trust.
Yeah.
Confidence in your brand.
Yeah.
And your company.
Yeah.
And what you're doing around your local place.
Yeah. And I like, example of that, I appreciate they are a big brand. But when you look at Barfoot and Thompson, ultimately it's a big brand, but a whole bunch of little sub brands or local offices. And it's often those people who are in the community doing great things to connect with sports clubs, community groups, musicals, whatever it might be.
Cool.
To build those relationships. And I think, small businesses can learn from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Lovely. Nice shot. The sign one as well.
Getting a bit hot.
Good colours.